Welcome to the What's Your Ceiling podcast. We're your hosts, Monty Wyatt and Paul Szynski. Wherever you are in life, there is a higher ceiling. This podcast is how you become aware of it and how to take action to push through it. It's time to discover your ceiling. Before we get into this month's episode, here's a short message from Adding Zero's Executive Development. As CEO, you demand performance and results from your team. If you're committed to developing a cohesive, driven organization that achieves successful outcomes every single month, we need to talk. It's time to see how organizational and executive development from Adding Zeros can help. We focus on strategic planning, executive coaching, team alignment and engagement, organizational culture, and clarity of implementation. Contact Monty Wyatt by booking an appointment at www.addZerosNow.com. That's AddZerosNow.com. AddZerosNow.com. If you're ready, now is the time. I have a few coaching spots available for 2025. Lock in your team today. Now let's begin today's episode. Welcome to the What's Your Ceiling podcast, where we talk about your health, your family, your business. I'm your host, Monty Wyatt. If you're a CEO, executive, or business owner, then this is the show for you. We call our audience the achiever because you're always striving for the next level. I am looking forward to our conversation today. We have Savannah Arroyo with us. She is the CEO and founder of two organizations. The first one is Net Worth Nurse, which specializes in financial education and wealth building for nurses. And the second one is a fintech startup called Invest Health. And she's passionate about educating and supporting others to achieve their financial goals. She's going to give us some inside look on her life as a nurse, a mother, a business leader, and a real estate investor. Savannah, welcome to What's Your Ceiling?
Yeah, thank you for the intro. I am super excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you. I look forward to getting to hear all of the things you're doing and how you're balancing all of that stuff in your life, because you're a busy person, and I want to hear about that. So maybe to start off with, again, our audience is achievers. They're always after the next level. Maybe give us a little tour of your past, of how you became a business owner and how you started your career as a nurse, and how you grew into something bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've really known from a very young age that I wanted to go into nursing. I had to go into the hospital to get engaged and saw what they did and was just really drawn to how caring they were and how they navigated around the healthcare system. And so really went out of high school pursuing my nursing degree at Sacramento State University. And even as I started as a new graduate nurse, I was naturally drawn towards process improvement projects and operations. So I went back really early on and I got my master's degree in nursing leadership and administration. And I had my eyes set on becoming a CNO, a chief nursing officer. And I started to climb the corporate ladder to get there. And it wasn't until 2020, after having my second daughter, that a lot of my priorities started to shift. I was looking at my very busy Monday through Friday job that was demanding of my time and my mental strength, and was just really looking at my finances. And I had to go back to work after both my babies were just 3 months old, and I didn't have a choice at the time. I only had one source of income coming in, and that was my W-2. And really felt so trapped and suffocated by this. And so it was really hitting that low point that it drove me to Google and researching the FIRE community, financial independence, retire early, how to invest, how to earn additional income streams. And I kept seeing real estate investing come up again and again and again. And as I started educating myself more about real estate investing, I didn't really know anything about it at the time, and started learning the numbers and the language. I started to realize how much opportunity was in it. And so my husband and I, who were at that point dedicating our 40, 50 hours towards our full-time job, really switched perspectives, created a whole new why and goal for our lives, and become very passionate about investing in real estate.
Well, that sounds interesting. And as you made that change from nursing to real estate, how did you have to change your mindset, or what did you have to do differently in your life to support that? Because it was a, no, you got one side, you got the work W-2 revenue, and then the other side you've got nothing coming in yet. So how did you manage that?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of mindset shifts early on. Some pivotal books like Think and Grow Rich were big. The Real Estate Community Bigger Pockets, just in terms of community building and investing knowledge, was very, very helpful. But it was really changing my identity in a sense of my goals. At that point, I didn't really know anything different besides working for someone else in a 40-hour work week. And it really took having conversations with people who were at a place in their financial life where I wanted to be. So, for example, early on when we discovered real estate investing, we didn't have any money to start investing, but we did own a primary residence and we had $100,000 worth of equity in that home at the time. And I didn't even know what equity was or how you could tap into it. And it was talking to a really savvy mortgage lender who knew our goals of wanting to invest in real estate. And he told us that we could take out a second mortgage, we could pull out $80,000, we could use it as a down payment on a couple of homes. And looking at the numbers and realizing you could take out an $80,000 loan at 4.1% interest rate, which is what we got it at in 2020, and use it to invest in real estate that's now earning us 15 and 20% average annualized returns. Not only is that money paying back the loan, but now it's also putting money back into our pocket every month. And so that concept of cash flow and how to leverage debt and having conversations with people who are at a financial place where I wanted to be was a very big influence as I set out into this space.
Oh, wonderful. You mentioned Think and Grow Rich. What's one of the concepts that you took away from Think and Grow Rich?
Just training the subconscious mind, and that's a lot of what I do now is reprogramming the subconscious mind. A lot of us grow up with or we create a consciousness based on how we are raised in society, and a lot of that can be reprogrammed through auto-suggestion. So, for example, I have some auto-suggestions that I listen to like in a theta state, like as akin to sleep, and that's been very, very powerful. But overall, that book just does a really great job of highlighting how you're currently thinking about money and how that can change to really bring you closer to your desires.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that because that's a fantastic book. And if our audience, the Achiever, hasn't read Think and Grow Rich, put it on your list. It's a Napoleon Hill book, and it's going to teach you how to think differently and behave differently in a world of abundance. And so
Mhm.
I want to encourage everyone to read that if you haven't read that yet. So I appreciate you sharing that. Tell us a little bit about Net Worth Nurse. And I'm interested in how you're training others and teaching others to do some of the similar things that you've taught yourself.
Yeah. So as we started learning about real estate investing, I started learning about different strategies, like real estate syndications, for example. And that is a real estate strategy where multiple investors pool together their resources and they go out and buy properties that they normally couldn't buy on their own, like apartment complexes or mobile home parks, think commercial buildings. And for us, when we got started, we invested in a couple of single family homes across the country in Atlanta, Georgia. We were based in California. And in a single family home, we had earning a couple $100 a month in cash flow. We had a tenant move out at 6 months and then had to repaint the entire place. And it really depleted a lot of our cash flow. Although I have to say how powerful real estate investing is, those properties appreciated so much in the 2 years that we owned them that we still ended up earning a lot on those properties, but we weren't really getting the cash flow that we wanted. And started looking into alternative strategies like multifamily and the benefits of having 30 people under one roof in a multifamily complex. When one person moves out, it doesn't hit your expenses, your cash flow as much as it does in a single family home. And as I started sharing, I use Net Worth Nurse as a platform on social media, primarily through Instagram, YouTube, to share my journey getting started in real estate investing as a nurse, and just started sharing step by step processes, what I was doing on a day to day, what the investments looked like that I was looking at. And I started to generate a lot of interest from people who wanted to partner together. And again, these real estate syndication opportunities allow me to partner with nurses and doctors who don't necessarily want to be very active in these real estate deals. They want to take a very passive approach. And as I started learning about the types of returns that even passive investors could get in these real estate syndications, I became very, very passionate about sharing these opportunities with other healthcare professionals because I was spending my 40 hours a week with nurses and doctors who were sacrificing their physical and mental health to save lives, but they didn't know anything about investing and how to make their money work as hard as they were working. And so being able to share with them opportunities that they could invest in things like real estate through these real estate syndications, and especially even through their retirement accounts, which is another really cool strategy. Net Worth Nurse really became a platform for me to share a lot of these resources and education with other healthcare professionals.
Very good, very good. So, do you help people across the country? Tell us about your audience of Net Worth Nurse?
Yeah, I have mostly nurses on there, but just a lot of people who are interested in real estate investing, who have healthcare experience in some way. I help investors who want to invest. Usually, when I get on a phone with anyone interested in real estate investing, my first questions I'm asking them is, do you want to be active or do you want to be passive? And having an active role in real estate investing requires finding the property, getting the loan, managing the tenant, doing all of that stuff. But if people are interested in a passive investing opportunity, they can invest in the real estate syndications and have all their time still available to them and just really be putting their money to work in a vehicle that's earning better than the stock market. For example, on our deals, we flip apartment complexes. So our deals are anywhere between like a 3 to 5 year hold. We're buying buildings from just owners who've mismanaged them in the past. For example, our last building, the rents were 40% below market. They just had no interest in increasing rents. And the building we bought before that, it needed a new roof, and the owner didn't have the $40,000 it took to replace the roof. And so for them, it's easier to sell it than it is to do anything about it. And so as real estate investors, we see these huge opportunities and we raise the capital and buy these properties and start flipping them in a sense. And so we're earning our investors anywhere between 15 to 25% averaged annualized returns. And that's the number you want to compare to the stock market, which historically does around 6-7%. And so these investment vehicles offer healthcare professionals and anyone else an opportunity to invest and grow their returns, diversify them at a different rate.
Oh, wonderful. That sounds like a great model, and you're doing a great service to get pulling people together and helping people that didn't necessarily understand the investment side and helping them be a part of it. That's great. You know, I want to ask you this question. So, how are you different today than you were, say, 5 years ago when you started? And, what kind of growth have you gone through? What ceilings have you broken through in the last 5 years?
Yeah, lots of lessons learned in the last 5 years. Education was really how I started my journey coming into this space with no prior experience of real estate investing. And so binging podcasts, reading books, any chance I could get, I was bringing in, consuming information about real estate investing in some sense. And then I would say now I navigate more from a flow based as opposed to a force based a business approach. I mean, really early on, I had a lot of grit and stamina, and I had set a lot of goals and had action steps and was driving towards them. And definitely forced a lot of things. I mean, I didn't really reach a burnout until probably around year 4 or so, but it brought me so much energy, being able to communicate. What social media did, Net Worth Nurse, is it really opened the door now for me to connect with thousands of other people who are interested in this stuff. And so it led to a lot of amazing conversations, which led to business opportunities. And so in that sense, the social media has been very, very useful in connection, but it did absolutely reach points in business building where I had to delegate and automate and build processes. And so social media has been a big one that I've been able to kind of scale in a sense. And so I would say that the time spent in the business is a lot less than it was early on. Early on, it was 40, 50 hours a week in the business, building and growing. And now it's really focused on the business in a higher sense of delegating, automating, and building processes.
Oh, fantastic. When did you realize you needed those processes to make it easier for you?
Yeah, I mean, some of them developed really naturally and early on, like as I started doing kind of started having the same calls, and after the calls, I'd be sending the same documents or follow-up emails. And so it would take kind of, maybe 5, 10 times of doing something for me to realize, okay, I can start building a process here. But being able to leverage different technology to build and scale the businesses. I mean, Canva for graphics is amazing. I love what they have. I use Google for all my email and sheets and Drive. And my entire business is built on Google Drive. And so leveraging different technologies in that sense. I use Slack for communication. That's been amazing. Social media, like I mentioned, for connecting with others. But being able to plug in tech has been really, really big in the business. But now almost everything I have SOPs, standard operating procedures. So I do have um, a virtual assistant who works with me full time from the Philippines, and she's helped me create a lot of those. We use Chat GPT for so much cool stuff that AI is really great, but a lot of different tools.
Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. I want to hear, you've got your hands in so many things. How do you balance your family? How do you balance your health and keeping everything going that you need to, your job and everything else?
Yeah, so really early on, it happened naturally in a sense of really stopped binging a lot of like Netflix and media. Like as we started building this in 2020 was when the COVID pandemic was breaking out. And so that was a big reminder for me to shut off the news. At that point, I decided I was never going to consume mainstream media in that sense again. And so being able to disconnect from a lot of media early on, even in the form of Netflix binging. I mean, if you're only watching TV 2 to 3 hours a night, that could be 10, 15 hours a week that you could be using to grow your business. Stop drinking alcohol. I'm very, very conscious of health and what types of food I consume and what gives me energy because I only have so much time. I make it a point to meditate every day. That's a huge, huge practice of mine and something that I don't let go to the side because that will start to affect other things. So that's always a big, big priority. I have a very strong yoga practice. And for me, being able to automate a lot of what I do on social media has allowed me to be off my phone, which is very important with raising kids because I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. And at one point, as I was growing my business and on social media so much, I really resented the fact of how much time I was spending on my phone. And so that was a big push to start streamlining some of those processes. And so now I don't have any of the social media apps on my phone, which is amazing. And I still have so much business that's built on it, but I've just built up a really great workflow with my virtual assistant there. Um, but yeah, exercise, getting out in nature is how I fill my cup. A lot of those things.
Excellent. I want to have you touch on meditation just a little bit. Tell our audience what you do for meditation and how that's helped you.
Yeah, so I used to have apps. I've used the Headspace app, Calm app. Those ones are amazing. If they have just a 10-minute guided meditation that you can click on. I know Calm does a daily one. I love Tamara Levitt. Although I don't have that app anymore currently. Now I do more of but I did like 10-minute guided meditations for like 3, 4 years as I started getting into meditation. And then now I do a 22-minute either silent meditation where I'm sitting, or I listen to the auto suggestions that we were talking about a bit with the subconscious mind training. So sometimes I have a recording of my voice voicing these auto suggestions, and sometimes I'll just listen to that in my meditation. But it is so, so very powerful. The ability to thought stop, to observe your thoughts and emotions without necessarily having to react to them is really something that it teaches. And the meditation practice overflows into all areas of life, not just business, but with family and personal. It is my favorite practice.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that because I want to reinforce to our audience, the achiever, that that is a healthy way to balance the emotions
Hmm.
and really get you to calm down and help you see what needs to be done more clearly. And like you said, it's observing your thoughts without reaction. And I
Yeah.
think that's a critical point of meditation. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's a great way to do that. You know, tell us about a ceiling that you're working to break through right now.
Um, So I would say a ceiling that I'm looking to break through right now is before when I've set goals, I've been very focused on the outcome, and I'm learning to become transitioning from desiring something to be more in the I am state. So moving towards a state of flow, controlling the subconscious mind so that reality manifestation and those type of things. So really becoming more focused on that as of now.
And what do you see you have to grow in to break through that? What do you have to do differently?
Um, Really how I set goals. So before I would be so focused on a specific number or a specific business outcome, and now I'm more focused on like more my mantras are I am peace, love, bliss, happiness, joy, fulfillment, and prosperity. They're more associated with the feelings as opposed to the outcomes, where before it could be in 5 years, I want to earn $20 million. Now it's, in 5 years, I want to earn a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. So the way I've set goals have changed and something I'm still working on.
I love that. I love that. Good. That's a part of balancing your life. Yes, it's good to have goals. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I teach my clients. You got to have goals. You got to know where you're going to, but it's also about balancing that mental state.
Mhm.
And so you can control it. And I love how you said it, controlling and training your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
They're very good. Very good. You know, any self-limiting beliefs that you have had that you broke through? You talk about a lot of that subconscious mind, but any beliefs that you had earlier that were really hurting your progress, and then you focused and made that change.
Yeah, I would just say really the imposter syndrome early on. And I think anyone who goes out to create a profile on social media experiences this. I mean, how you want to portray yourself to the world. And really, up until 2020, I was a nurse and that was my identity, and everything was wrapped up into that. And so a part of me was, okay, well, now I'm a real estate investor and I'm just learning this stuff. And I don't have 10s and 20 and 30 years worth of experience, but I'm just going to be out here sharing my truth and how I'm navigating this and being very genuine and transparent along the journey. And that's really how I managed to break through that barrier early on, because otherwise it can be very, oh, who am I to be out here talking about this stuff, and looking at other people who have hundreds of years. I mean, it's been in their family so many years of this real estate investing. And so, really getting over a lot of that imposter type syndrome early on.
Very good. Anything particular that you did to get over that syndrome, the imposter syndrome?
Take action. So anytime I would start to get in my mind about thinking, especially with social media and like posting things, I think that's where it comes up for a lot of people, at least who I've connected with. And really how you can move through that fear is just a little bit of action each day. Or, say you're in sales and you need to make calls for your business and pitch your business idea and you're just stuck, frozen, if you just start setting actionable steps, pick up the phone, that actual actionable piece is really how you push through that fear.
I love that. I want to reinforce to our audience, because we've all had that imposter syndrome, and some of us still have it, and in certain areas of our lives, and it is taking action will help you get through that. And it's how you break through it. It's how you get better, you get knowledgeable, you learn, and you grow. And so breaking through that imposter syndrome is huge. I love that you shared that. You know, I always like to ask our guests, what do you want to be known for?
Hmm. I would just say advocacy for healthcare professionals and financial literacy and financial wellness. I think there's a lot of taboo and stigma around money. People don't feel comfortable talking about it and really just want to change the narrative around money and finances and show that it's not unattainable and that money isn't the root of all evil. It's not bad. You can use it as a tool to create so much freedom in your life if you choose to view it that way. And so really changing the conversation around money towards that of financial wellness.
Fantastic. I love that. Changing the narrative around money. I think that's a great thing, and the world can needs that today.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If there was one tip that you'd give our audience, what would that one tip be of everything you've gone through and how you've grown in the last 5 years through this journey? What's one tip that you'd give our audience?
I would say if someone is doing something that you want to be doing, connect with them. Like if it's on social media and you're watching an influencer or someone who is out there doing something that you have interest in, I highly recommend to reach out to them. I have found that that is how I started moving forward, how you create collaborations and community and you start opening the conversation.
I love that. Reach out and collaborate. That's a
Yes.
great one. Yep. And that's how we get to know other people. That's how we get to see their perspective because we can't see, there's a lot of things that we can't see. We have blind spots. They can help us see those and see opportunities. I love it. I love it. Savannah, thank you for joining us. This has been a great conversation. I love to hear your story. I love to hear how you're helping others. And, we didn't talk about your fintech business. I want you to share that just for a moment. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's all about financial wellness. As I started sharing my investing journey with healthcare professionals on Net Worth Nurse, I received so much feedback and comments from other nurses that they didn't even know where to start. And even as a nurse manager in the hospital, I'd have all the new hires in my office asking how much to contribute towards their investments and really realized there wasn't an accessible resource available to them. And so Invest Health is a financial health benefit. So we're integrated into healthcare companies specific for healthcare employees. Think of it as a mental health benefit, but really focused around finances.
Oh, very good. Very good. Well, that sounds like a great opportunity as well, and you're filling a niche in the market.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Savannah, thank you for joining us on What's Your Ceiling. I really appreciate you sharing your story. And I know our audience, the Achiever, would love to continue to learn things about you. Where can they find anything about you and what you're doing?
Yeah, so Net Worth Nurse is my handle on almost all social media accounts. The Net Worth Nurse on Instagram. My website is networthnurse.co. And I love connecting with other people who are interested in real estate investing and all things financial wellness. So if you're interested in anything I chatted about, please reach out. I would love to connect.
I love it. I want to reinforce a couple things that Savannah shared with us today. The big one that I heard was train and control your subconscious mind. We've got to make sure that we're guiding that. We're in control of our mind because there's a lot of stories that we tell ourselves, and we've got to control those stories. You did a lot of consuming of information. You learned a lot. You put in processes, SOPs. You leverage technology, and you shut off the news. You shut off the news, you shut off Netflix. I think those are great things to stay focused on what's most important and in building your business, and you don't have those distractions. And I do want to reinforce the meditation because I use Calm as well. And that's a fantastic source of different meditations and different tools that you can use to keep your management of your thoughts and yourself in place. So that those are a few things that I captured from our conversation today, and I want to make sure our audience gets those as well. So, well, thank you, Savannah, again. Really appreciate you spending time with What's Your Ceiling, and continue as our audience continue to like our program and share our program and subscribe to our channel, and we'll continue to give you great value. Thanks, and have a great day.